and being a team player. That was just him playing bad in the laning phase, whereas Lolo has consistently needed to step up. Same could be said in the mid lane where Phoenix and Huhi underperforming, and then you look at Piglet and Stixxay, those guys have been doing well. So really, really interested to see this pick ban phase, to see which lanes get the advantage.
Yeah, we'll see what's changed, but it does all start in Champ Select. Liquid on the blue side for game 1, CLG over on the red. Trundle and Fiora actually taken out by TL, so 2 top lane bans there, targeting Darshan a bit. CLG though, the new flavor of the week, Anivia, get her out of here.
I suppose so. Obviously, Phoenix likes to play lane control champions. That has been where his weaknesses have actually been, has been not warding the mid lane properly, but he's so good in team fights. And once Anivia gets level 6, she's just going to make it to team fights most of the time because she can be pretty dominant, just clearing the wave again and again. So targeting the control champions for COG's bans, and Team Liquid is so far just targeting the lane dominant top laner.
Yep, pretty much take out Darshan's carries, take the Maokai out as well for Lolo, which was CLG's second ban. TL with a final ban to go here for game 1. Kindred continuing to see bans here. We'll see if CLG also want to take that Nidalee away.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see what they want to take away from Dardoch. Like, he's been able to play almost all the high mechanic junglers, but Lee Sin is one of his most effective, so I see they actually decide to go with the Rise ban as well. So just this single jungle ban right here. I wonder if that prompts Team Liquid to take a Rek'Sai or a Nidalee early. I'm not sure if it would with all the stuff that could still be up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've seen a lot of Swain and a lot of Vladimir. I think are the immediate picks that jump out. A lot of different champions got touched, but it feels like a lot of the bans just sort of say, hey, the champions you guys used to play, we still want to ban, and it is actually first pick Rek'Sai for Team Liquid.
Hey, Dardoch takes the pace of the game. Also, you look at Smithy, and he's a very good Rek'Sai player as well, so that's a bit of a denial pick, and it's also moved a little bit towards team fighting. Obviously, Smithy could pick Nidalee into it. He wouldn't have to rush it. And that does mean that stuff like Vladimir is completely available, and I would be a little bit surprised if COD doesn't go for it.
I think the champion's fairly strong, but we'll see if they do take it here. Maybe TL knows something we don't about champion preferences here for CLG. Certainly taking their time, though, with these first few picks. No need to rush them. CLG will take almost the full duration. 20 seconds left still, just to make some final alterations.
Do it! No, he's not going to do Sejuani. The Karma that they hovered really quick and the Vladimir could be 2 picks that they'd end up taking. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, look at you.
Oh man, it's almost like they're power picks and we're just able to see them take them. Surprising the Karma. To me, it's a little bit surprising the Karma has become a power pick so quickly in North America. It definitely seems like the perception is that she can win any matchup. She's obviously very good against the melee tank supports, but a lot of people think she has enough burst to beat the sustained supports like Anami that we may end up seeing from Matt, which is why we're seeing such incredibly high priority on Karma in the pick ban phases here in NA.
Yeah, definitely been a champion that is unique once again to North America in a lot of ways. Again, Afromoon and Adrian.
Baker just goes and plays it mid.
Oh,
like, what is this?
Man.
Did that last night as the 2 undefeated teams in LCK, Samsung and SKT. SKT is now the only undefeated team, so they did it.
Well, not too surprising there, but definitely Karma champion that's been making the rounds globally. 10 seconds there for TL to make picks 2 and 3. Dardoch having a little bit of fun with a Galio hover, but they will ultimately settle on Braum and Azir.
Interesting. So Azir has been such a high priority mid laner. He had, I would call them fairly minor nerfs, but the W not being able to be cast directly on turrets does hurt Azir's ability to actually take a turret. He can shove the turret very easily, but his ability to just burst it down is much lower. And then his wall only persisting for 3 seconds instead of up to 7 seconds is a meaningful team fight nerf as well. So that does not deter Phoenix from taking it, since it has been his best champion pretty much throughout his time in the LCS, and I think it's a solid pick for TL.
Well, I like it. We'll see what CLG do respond with, though. Of course, we have to consider where the Vlad's going. I imagine who he could play it, but of course Darshan has the option there as well. And the other big thing is Lucian pretty much dropped off the face of the planet. We've seen a lot of utility ADs. The Ashe and the Sivers really rise back up in pick priority now that this patch pretty much has just dropped Lucian out of the meta, it feels like.
Really feels like it. The ranges being reduced on his abilities in laning phase have made him much less lane dominant. And COG has gone for the Swain Vlad combo. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, Pastry Time, when there was a potential for a team to do this. And having both these guys in the solo lanes really puts a lot of the other pressure on the other team in team fighting to very well prioritize burst onto one or the other, because if you just spray damage, it's completely ineffective since they both sustain so heavily. The flaws in that team composition is in CLG's ability to initiate. So I'm actually expecting an Ashe as their last AD carry pick unless TL takes it away.
And it's kind of why they're last picking their AD carry, because that is the slot that's open unless Stixxay really fancies a Graves. Those 4 champions, though, it's pretty much 3 tanks in a lot of ways, or 3 Bruiser-style champions. 2 of them are mages, and a Karma, who has shields and speed up. So pretty difficult to kill. We'll see what TL answer back with, though, as maybe Piglet actually decided that the nerfs were not so bad.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like, the nerfs that have happened in this last patch didn't really murder any of the top tier champions. They were minor nerfs, but still nerfs that can maybe take them down from being the top tier to just being like a mid to high tier champion.
I'm still really good.
Be real good, exactly. The Aurelia is one that might actually be the new top tier. We were talking about this earlier. It's yet to be seen, but we'll see how Lola's able to do in that matchup.
Well, not sure what's happening on the other stream, unfortunately, but yesterday, 100% pick or ban was Aurelia, only banned in the final game of the 6 we got on Friday. And that trend's continuing here with TL picking it last.
Most picked champion in the top lane over in Europe as well, so no secret. The secret is out that Trinity Force is really good.
A really badly kept secret, actually.
Yeah.
Guys,
like, secret is the wrong word for that, actually. It's just a thing.
Well, CLG is still making this last pick. I wonder if they'll just go all in on the tanky champions.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something if it was Zergood. I'm expecting a Sivir or an Ashe. Something to just help the team a little bit with utility. An Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal might. Not what I expected, but it has been one of Stixxay's favorites for a while. He's already played it 3 times in their 5 games. And I also do feel like with discussions I had with CLG after their defeat to Bang's Ezreal at MSI, they're really liking this champion because like Stixxay and the rest of CLG just saw the things that Bang was doing on that Ezreal. Some of his ability to initiate with it, where he just shift in, get an Iceborne Gauntlet proc like Blade of the Ruin King, and just be a total menace to that team. So I think Stixxay is going to try and emulate that a little bit and be the initiator for this.
And we sort of mentioned the rest of CLG's team comp. Pretty good front line, good at running forward. This is a pretty classic combination. 4 champions that want to get in the face of the enemy backline, and an Ezreal, who hopefully fends for himself while the rest of the team runs around him. But TL have established, actually, I'm going to say a fairly standard front to back composition on their side. Phoenix on Azir, Piglet on the Lucian. Lola kind of gets it all going. Plenty of tanks there as well.
Yeah, the only thing that we'd see of TL's composition is it's not a pure true tank that Lorlo has found most of his success on, whereas last split we saw he usually won with Nautilus or Maokai later in the split, so it is a little bit of a change of play style, and they really need to get him ahead so he can deal with either the Swain or the Vladimir.
Well, great draft there. We'll see what the teams do, but it's time to fire up your Twitter and share your series predictions using the hashtag TLWin or the hashtag CLGWin. 2 Titans from the playoffs in spring will now go head-to-head for the first time in summer, and not the 2 teams we expected to start 0-2, but slow start's just that, a slow start. There's still plenty of League of Legends to be played.
It is just a start. The number 2 team from the regular season versus the number 3 team from the regular season from spring split. Obviously, the defending champions has a better ring to it than second best team in the regular season, but 0-2 right now definitely doesn't even put them in the playoffs, so they got to pick it up.
Well, I have good news. One of these 2 teams will end up with a win after this series, which is always nice. The loss streak will be broken, but we'll see what happens here in the game number 1 as Dardoch's going to move out on that Rek'Sai. See if he can't get some vision down. Just looks like everyone's fanning out early on, making sure they have those choke points under control. But it looks like things we're not going to get a lane swap just yet as Aphromoo, nice bit of poke from the Karma, gets himself some additional gold as well.
Yeah, we've definitely seen substantially fewer lane swaps this split than last. Obviously, the Elemental Dragons coming in, the fact that jungle camps no longer share experience are all contributing to that factor. And not only does that create more even matchups, I also feel like it enables top laners to get a more reliable, decent start in the game, or also just lets you favor that matchup via ganks a little bit more. Like previously, you'd have to be very deliberate about how much double jungle you shared or where you put them to the empty lanes. And while that's still going to be critical later on, early on in the game, a lot of it is just straight up laning and early jungle pathing.
I don't know what Stixxay and Aphromoo are up to, but they went on a wild adventure, kind of wrapping around the Raptor camp there. But as you can see, the Keystone Mastery's on your screen. Nothing too surprising. I do like who he's rocking that Storm Raider Surge, so see what Vladimir can get done there. But looks like Stixxay and Aphro do go on a bit of an adventure, but end up back where they want to be, straight on top of that Gromp camp, ready to start these standard lanes.
Yeah, the only thing that's a little bit surprising to me is that Darshan has gone with the Strength of Ages instead of a Deathfire Touch or a Thunderlords on the Swain. But as a top laner, probably wanting just a little bit of extra tankiness. Can also, when you go Strength of Ages, get the reduced Summoner spell cooldown, so his teleports and flashes will hopefully be of better use, but a little bit less dominant in the lane.
Well, double TP as well for Lolo and Phoenix. Ghost Flash for Huhi, so slight differences there for the solo laners. We'll have an eye on the bottom lane. That was Piglet straight in at level 2. Again, reduced range on the Lucian. You kind of have to commit more to your aggression, but Piglet more than happy to be aggressive.
I mean, the Piercing Light was the biggest range reduction. It has 200 less range on its pass-through. Didn't seem to affect Piglet that much there. He was still able to get the pass-through damage on Aphromoo, but it is less of a bully, so we'll have to track that in this lane.
People were picking Ezreal before us. Hui getting awfully low. Phoenix might even... No, doesn't commit for it. But that is a huge trade for Vladimir to just lose there.
Yeah, and Huhi also lost his charges, could not get a Q off to get the empowered heal, and he's kind of lost his healing cycle. So very early on in the lane phase, he's going to have to play a little bit defensively. Luckily for him, he did start Boots triple potion, so he can potion up, as long as he doesn't take a potion's worth of damage every time he looks at a minion.
Yep, cannon creep, looking juicy, but I think he is going to be able to get it. Hui does have to be careful, but again, healing up should be okay. Always looks scary with Vlad. As you can see, Dardoch moving down the river here towards bottom side. He's going to take out that Scuttlecrop for now. Smithy right above him, but they're not going to cross paths just yet. Yeah,
really interesting how Dardoch is prioritizing the pressure right now without red buff. He's going to try and get a steal!
Just takes it.
So clever by Dardoch right there. Obviously, he had his Tremor Sense, so he could tell that Xmithy was doing the blue buff, but he can't actually smite it unless he can see it. So he wards right on top of it as he's walking up to get the smite. I believe that's what happened. Really nice play by Dardoch. Yep, that is exactly what he did.
Well, definitely got the blue buff, so Xmithy going to be hurting. Clever stuff there from Dardoch to start things off. This is sort of what we expect from the jungle. He's known as an aggressive player. Rek'Sai maybe not the most aggressive jungler, but that does not mean his play has to change too much. Stixxay tagged up by Matt here. Concussive blow is going to proc. No, not yet, but Piglet in. There's a stun in. Good damage there from the Winter's Bite. Stixxay forced to shift out of that trade. And once again, Team Liquid asserting some dominance here in the bottom side as Dardoch doing the same thing on this Grump camp.
Yeah, all their lanes are pushing, and Dardoch is also pushing in Xmithy. The fact that Dardoch was able to 3-buff Xmithy with no external help is really impressive, and it enables the lanes to play even more aggressive. Xmithy's going to try and get something back, but this is a really dangerous invade when you consider that all of his lanes are pushed in.
And Dardoch has to know the bottom side of my jungle is clear. Xmithy's probably on this top side. We'll see if they meet again. Yeah. For now, Dardoch just going to take that wolf camp. So Xmithy, a smart path over here, will get himself some XP back, but the wolf spirit is going to seem a little too late.
Which now immediately sends Lorlo backwards, so they're kind of on the hunt for Xmithy now.
Found him. Lolo with the stun. Equilibrium strike through. Just going to do some damage down, but Tarshan there to make sure his jungle is safe. Again, like smart play from Xmithy, but this is a situation that's painful, caused by Dardoch.
Yeah, and I think that was still good awareness from both teams. As soon as the Wolf Spirit saw him, Lorlo came down to help, but Darshan also recognized that and went to help Xmithy. At the end of the day, the counter jungle is successful.
Well, Hui's still taking fire here in mid lane. Again, he's Vlad, he'll heal up. Things will get better as he gains levels in this mid lane. But right now, chewing through a bunch of potions. Phoenix, up about 5 CS as well. See if that league grows any more significantly as Piglets are up about the same in bottom side.
Man, I love watching Dardoch right now. He goes straight for the Raptors, knowing that Xmithy passed around the slow side of his jungle. Like, he is doing everything to maximize his pressure right now. And he's going to be walking straight through a ward. Going to try and burn a summoner spell from Darshan.
Already got a stun there onto Darshan. Good flash out from the Swain.
Yep. And as Dardoch tunneled, the threat of the flash on Burrow is what forced Darshan back. And the wave is in a really bad spot for Darshan right now, even though he can teleport back into the lane. Without his flash as a level 5 Swain, he would be very vulnerable to a gank. As long as Lorlo doesn't just shove it up, which I feel like he's breaking the freeze unnecessarily.
Oh, Hui again taking damage here. Phoenix level 6, but not maybe enough mana to commit for an all-in. Xmithy's actually driving by just to make sure the lane stays safe, but that's Hui forced out of lane. Just 1v1 versus Azir.
Yeah, not a pleasant experience for him so far. He's brought the Ghost Flash, which aren't the most dominant laning summoner spells, and Phoenix was able to teleport straight back to the lane after buying a second Doran's Ring to continue the shove, so you're kind of expecting a slight advantage from him early, but based on how low he's been getting, it feels a little bit more one-sided than it should be.
Yeah, and Team Liquid lanes continue to play aggressive here. Piglet and Matt pushing up, but getting a little tricky here in this bottom side. Aphromoo maybe even considering a threat here. Junglers can't be seen, so TL will back away from it, and Stixxay actually able to keep the CS up relatively healthy. Xmithy just going to collapse some tunnels and try and retake control back of this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and it's actually really important that he gets these tunnels out of the river because he wants to make it so Dardoch has the least efficient path back to his jungle, since Smithy is already being outpaced by Dardoch. I also don't like The fact that Xmithy has gone for both the Hunter's Talisman and the Hunter's Machete, another minor change that happened in the offseason was you don't get extra experience for having both of them. You get the bonus experience off Jungle Monsters with just one, so either you need to fully complete your Smite upgrade and get like the warding or the combat effectiveness, or you should be building a longsword towards a warrior enchantment. This gives very little actual jungle help to Xmithy, and it's just allowing Dardoch to outpace him again. You see Dardoch only built the one component, already has Boots of Swiftness, and that's allowing him to move around the map so much better.
Yep, super efficient early Rek'Sai items as Phoenix does get the blue buff donated over to him. Lolo continuing to fight Darshan in that top side. He 10 style in, Blade Surge ulti procs. Now Darshan trying to run after it. Maybe Lolo fancies the dive, but not going to commit fully, swaying with some good trade back.
Yeah, I think Dardoch wants to dive right away. They know the flash is down. They know he can't stop the flash on Burrow, and they know his ultimate is already down a little bit. So
here we go. Dardoch's in. Flash on Burrow is good. Lolo dives in under the turret, and it's first blood to Aurelia. They're under the turret, but Dardoch more than enough health.
Yeah, that's about as clean as he's going to get. Darshan was low. Obviously, the ultimate's on a pretty low cooldown, so he's going to get it back up. But Lorlo, to his credit, prepped that gank. He harassed Darshan down to below half health so that Darshan would never have time to sustain back up with his next cycle of the Ravenous Flock. And Dardoch is right there to help him. We talked about being able to trigger that matchup and push it towards Lorlo. That's what Dardoch has done with 2 ganks now to the top lane.
And Aurelia, we've talked about her, definitely gets very strong as soon as that first item comes in, but watch this gank again.
Yeah, so this was the setup. Lorlo burns his ultimate to get Darshan low, and Darshan has to turn his ultimate off because the mana cost increases over time. Immediately, Dardoch is there for the next gank. They know Darshan's going to have his ultimate back up again, but they also have all the Aurelia cooldowns. Flashes in immediately. Blade Surge is straight on top of him, and even though the never move lands, since Dardoch was full health before that gank, the turret doesn't kill him.
Another jungle invade, I believe Dardoch got that again, but Lolo's just going in. Sheen plus Sting is an effort. Solo kill! Lolo takes out Darshan.
What world are we actually in right now, where Lorlo is solo killing Darshan in the top lane? What a job there, understanding his power spikes, knowing that Darshan doesn't have the strength yet, and going hard for the kill.
Himu playing on, Huhi trying for something here. Xmithy also in the area, but Dardoch again, this time deflects their gank attempt in mid lane. Phoenix will live easily.
Yeah, Phoenix just has to burn the flash, and double summoners burned on the other side from CLG. So early game really going in TL's favor. This is the type of bounce back they want. And for CLG, at least in the early game, nothing much has improved. Darshan is still struggling in the top lane, albeit most of that has to do with Dardoch, but the rest of the lanes aren't doing much better.
No, mid lane looking good for Phoenix. Still up a significant portion of CS there. Stixxay and Aframu keeping even in this bottom side of the map's probably the best news so far. As far as individual lane matchups go, Stix actually up a few CS there, using that Sheen nicely, getting poke in wherever he can. We saw so much of this matchup around MSI with Lucian versus Ezreal. I think with Ezreal, Lucian especially being touched a little, it just feels like it's super skill-based.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty skill-based matchup as well. I mean, obviously Ezreal is one of the champions who it's really a good champion to split lane with anyone. So even if the other guy gets ahead, you're still going to be able to sit really far back and just spam Qs to get last hits. Smithy's looking for, you would think he was looking for wards in there, but he didn't have a Raptor buff in order to do so. He goes and finds a pink. Really seems like CLG wants to be able to take this Water Drake.
Well, sort of set up for it. Good vision on the area for CLG. Backs away though, no one can see him.
Yeah, but I mean, he revealed himself on a pink ward, which means Dardoch can go wherever he wants, and he's actually securing the Rift Herald buff for Lorlo, which is really important when you consider how Lorlo is actually going to be a split-pushing threat this game, and this will also stop Huhi or Darshan from being able to deal with the Aurelia for the next 20 minutes. Really love what Dardoch has done early on in this game, and maybe they go straight for Darshan. Now, this is the riskier move.
Yeah, not a lot of health, but maybe just wants to go in instead. But already down, Dardoch's like, yeah, okay, don't fancy that at all.
Yeah. That's one of those heat checks. He's like, how strong does he think I really am? Well, you still just have a Balmy Cinder and Boots of Swiftness, so not that strong yet.
Oh, it does see him. Darshan spots him. Uh-oh, Dardoch caught shopping. Not this time. Gets himself to safety with a tunnel. And Lolo moves straight back up in lane, says, hey, this is still my lane.
Yeah, but luckily Dardoch has tunnels placed on the next cycle of his jungle already, so he should be able to base and go straight down to bottom lane to continue his pace.
Doesn't pull the trigger on the farm alarm just yet.
Teleport from Phoenix for a gank.
Yeah, Matt going in, flash Q there, trying to stun up Afro. The calling is down, the damage is there on Afro. He's going to go down to Matt. Picks it up with the Ignite.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. It almost felt like the team was wanting to give the kill to Phoenix since he burned his teleport to get there, so Piglet actually held back from trying to get the kill but then the Ignite from Matt ticked out and gave it to him. So that's actually a really unfortunate kill take there by Matt, since they invested a lot for that kill.
And now counter push pressure from CLG. Stardock will come to visit once again. Just keeping every single lane up and healthy. Phoenix now back with the Stinger and the Amp Tome, able to shove these waves out very effectively. Of all the changes that happened to Azir on this patch, he still does what you expect him to do. Put up soldiers and clear waves.
Yep, and is really hard to deal with when, especially you need to be a closer range wave clear champion like the Vladimir. The Azir could actually turn out to be a very solid pick against Vlad. Right now though, Xmithie trying to get the Water Drake as they realize Team Liquid is caught in a few base timers.
Yep, pretty smart stuff here from CLG. Xmithie gonna give it his best solo attempt. Afromu helps a little bit. Just the shield down there.
Huge too. Come on, Afro, hit this one.
There we go. Nailed it.
That damage help. Afromu is splitting points a little bit between Q and E. 3 points in the Q, 2 points in the shield, which is the E for Karma. But the one thing Dardoch hasn't done as he's taking over the map is Dragon Control. So Xmithie is able to secure that.
Yep. Looks like they've sort of decided the top half of the map is where they want to snowball. Lolo did take the top outer naturally after the pressure Dardoch provided, and he's back in again. Darshan gonna get dived.
We understand this gank.
Dardoch goes in. There's the knockup from the Umbara. Darshan dies again.
That's gonna happen. And it may continue to happen. Like, even before the nerfs, when a lot of teams were picking Swain in the top lane, we saw a lot of games where Swain just fed. Because it's not the traditional top lane champion that's like really tanky right off the bat. And he also doesn't have like any dashing abilities to get away. So if you fall a little bit behind on Swain, you can get punished pretty heavily by ganks.
Xmithie caught in rotation, but gonna turn it around onto Dardoch. Kuhi here as well, gonna zone him away. But Dardoch, he's got the Cinderhawk. He's not particularly afraid of them. Xmithie there will reclaim back control of his jungle as Stixxay and the Ocean Drake gonna have to heal up. Piglet went all in with that Ghost Blade that he's now picked up.
Yeah, I do also think that the Ocean Drake should not be ignored, that CLG was able to get like that, especially with Swain and Vladimir. Like, if Darshan is worried about getting shipped out a little bit by the Aurelia, having the increased Mon and health regeneration is just going to help him be at full health. So hopefully at one point, the all-in by Aurelia and Rek'Sai doesn't kill him. He's not at that point yet, so really whenever Dardoch and Lorlo decide to all-in, they're going to get the all-in. But I can envision a time in this game where he doesn't get one shot by those two champions, and that's really what CLG needs to stall out for.
Well, right now, I think, unfortunately, they're still in that territory. Lolo's finished that Trinity Force, and the Rod of Ages is yet to be completed for Darshan, so a huge power spike for Aurelia. 14.5 minutes in. Darshan still working on that first item, but Stixxay and Afro gonna see if they can equalize the turret gold here. CLG pretty far behind in gold here. Yeah. 4K down so far, and cannot take the turret just yet. Piglet returns. Make sure the wave stays.
They got a lot of damage on that, but not being able to take it will obviously not help their gold in the short term. And it's going to be on TL to really try and snowball this game. I still feel like the potential late game sustain gods of Vladimir and Swain is a really scary world to live in. And Team Liquid also has Aurelia and the Ghostblade build Lucian, which are tremendous mid-game champions, but not great late game champions. So Team Liquid really needs to continue to keep the pressure up if they want to win this game.
Well, you can see Stixxay still holding back, but taking poke every now and then. Piglet actually trying to keep the wave back a bit. Nice cues there from Matt, actually. Landing almost every time onto Stixxay. Dardoch's here, though, and Piglet's in. Afro knows what's up now. Stixxay going to have to bail, but the Culling's through, doing a good amount of damage to Afro. Heal pops. That's going to keep CLG safe for now.
Definitely feels like they went a little early there. Piglet popped Ghostblade before Dardoch had begun his tunnel under the wall, and Lorlo was also about half a screen behind them there. So that could have just been the precursor for a more aggressive play. They're going to look to take multiple turrets. I mean, Phoenix has just been crushing that mid lane this whole time, so he finally is able to take the turret. Now they have the rest of the team on the bottom side of the map. It turns into a nice play, and they didn't even really need to kill the bottom lane. They just needed to pressure him out.
Yep, and the pressure they'll get, they'll probably take bottom on this play as well. Darshan trying to counter push back in. As Piglet going to deny off some CS and then take this turret down. After this play, it should be TL up 3-0 in turrets and just mounting a huge gold lead, 5K at least, after this turret falls down.
Yeah, and this is a continuation from what we saw even 3 minutes into the game, where Team Liquid was winning and pushing all 3 lanes, and Dardoch took the first blue buff away from Xmithie. Every single person on TL was winning their matchup, and when you do that consistently over 15 minutes, yeah, you're just going to kill all 3 turrets, and that's what they've done.
Well, looks like the Sun turret goes down, so small victories currently for CLG as Lolo with that Rift Herald buff for quite a while longer Just going to continue split pushing up here in that top side. Seeker's Arm Guard finished for Darshan, so things get a little bit better. He's completed that roller as well, so that will start to stack up. But Lolo is just such a threat, even a level up on Darshan right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Corruption stacks and the Trinity Force plus Spectre's Cowl right now, so Darshan's return damage isn't great. Lolo's burst is still really high. If anything, CLG might be trying to predict the dive right here, and Huhi actually roams up defensively just to prevent a dive on it. Secondary turret already 5,000 gold down. Like, when you have to make that move, while it's a good move by Huhi, you're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, because he's still waiting for his wave to be pushed in as well, so it does have some time as Phoenix might even start moving things around the map. There's so much CS right now as Azir. Afro actually topside as well. Going to clear out some vision. CLG know they need to reclaim this top half of the map back, otherwise Lolo is going to be a real thorn in their side. And the next Drake is Infernal, now up in 1 minute and 10 seconds or so. CLG got the first Ocean Drake. We'll see if TL can maybe nab this one and continue snowballing in this game.
Yeah, maybe that's why we're not officially naming them Fire and Water, because then you'd be like, oh, the water clearly wins. And that's not necessarily the case. Infernal versus Ocean, you're never really sure what's stronger. In this case, it's hard for me to imagine CLG getting the Dragon, and Infernal Drake in 50 seconds should just be going straight over to TL.
And that sounds like great news for them, given the state of the game right now.
Yeah, just more raw power to move around the map with. Like, Lorlo can just use the damage to try and burst out Darshan. A lot of this, since CLG is already going to be like the sustain gods in team fights, is just about Team Liquid getting enough power to burst through them in a full-on engagement from 100 to 0. And Infernal Drake probably helps with that more than any other Drake right now in this game.
Yeah, CLG sort of just have to play defensively for a little while longer. Lolo needs to escape because Xvidi's here with Darshan. Lolo might just turn and fight it. Going back in, Blade Surge, Darshan there, and now Dardo's going to join the party. Lolo maybe fancies to go back in, but he is forced to flush out from under the bird. Next Smithy going to turn things around, but Phoenix is here!
Oh my!
Dardo takes out Darshan as a huge ulti comes up from Azir. Smithy's going to die, now Hui's forced to pull away.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a greedy call by Team Liquid, but it was actually the right call, because they had such a lead that Lorlo could actually just 1v2 for about 8 seconds while the rest of his team arrived for support. Phoenix doesn't even have to burn his flash. He just does a nice shift over the wall in order to get range for a beautiful Emperor's Divide, and they pick up 2 kills.
I mean, Aurelia, we've missed her, right?
I mean, just trying to do Krugs on a ward. Yeah, love Aurelia. The way he queued on him and then auto-attacked him was just wondrous. Anyway, he's already very well ahead because of how well he's played this lane against Darshan and pushed his advantage. And yeah, Darshan and Xmith get a little bit happy because they think they can turn this around, but no one has been able to track Phoenix's roam from the mid lane. He arrives for the kill, and Huhi has to just pull away to safety.
6A contributes his ulti, but not enough damage for a kill, as Team Liquid will get the Infernal Drake you predicted. No contest here for CLG. And they will have to really batten down the hatches and try and play through the next 10 minutes or so at a very big disadvantage. CLG, you hate the adage, but they are scaling. But it's going to take a while.
We're scaling, boys. Just play for late game. And we joke, but that's actually what CLG needs to do. And we've seen at MSI that they're capable of coming back from even 17,000 gold leads if the other team gets a little haphazard about the way they close the game. But Team Liquid knows that, and Team Liquid knows that they need to pick up these victories. So I'd expect Team Liquid to just continue to put the pressure on. And if you're trying to put percentages on this game for what's chance CLG has of coming back, it's pretty low right now. Even though Team Liquid's actual turret siege isn't spectacular, the wave clear for CLG isn't spectacular either, so I think TL should keep going around, getting these objectives and keeping the pressure on.
Well, Lolo's definitely going to have plenty of pressure because he's back in the bottom side now. Going to get that split pushing away. Looks like Huhi currently going to try and answer that as Piglet's busy top side. Team Liquid going to try and get the 3-wave pressure started here because it's a little too early for Baron.
Yeah.
So I think the next best way they can break that siege. So it may have a quieter 5 minutes as CLG just fight to get their farm as it pushes towards them.
Yep, and for TL, they know that Mountain Drake is coming up in 4 minutes. That could cue the collapse of all of CLG's buildings as well as the easier baits for Baron, because that 10% pre-mitigation true damage just makes all of those turrets and neutral objectives that much easier to close out the game with. Or they just keep diving, because Lorlo still has Rift Herald buff, and he was hoping Darshan would actually use a cooldown on him right there. But Darshan showed enough patience.
Cute little maneuver there. TL actually will start the Baron a little early.
They're hoping to be able to sneak it, but it was not to be sneaked. CLG already transitioned into 2 blue trinkets, Farsight totems.
Well, Phoenix with the Sun turret up in mid lane, although it will just fall down now. Able to keep that wave pushed up. TL try and use what pressure they had there in those lanes to sneak that Baron away, but good awareness there from CLG to make sure that doesn't happen. And again, we'll reset the map for a little while longer. Actually check in with where these teams are, because we talked about how up TL are at this moment. 2 items for Azir, 2 items for Lucian, 2 items pretty much for Lolo. I think he just has to go back and shop. Just everyone is ahead by at least an item.
And they're spiking really hard right now. Like the Black Cleaver plus Youmu's Ghostblade for Lucian is right where he wants to be, where his culling just becomes absolutely insane. I'd say the build probably peaks at Phantom Dancer, actually, when Piglet gets there, so he's super close. Aurelia peaks at Trinity Force and +1 tanky item, because that's when you become like super bruiser focused. I love the fact that he's gone for Spirit Visage, because that's the double AP that CLG has already picked. So really Team Liquid's in full position to really punish CLG right now, since they need to finish their Zonias before they can match some of that power. The only person who's in a good power spike right now is Stixxay, who just completed Muramana, but I don't even think that is as powerful as it is.
Phoenix, that's disgusting amounts of damage. Rylo's making it very hard for Aphromy to get away, and Lolo forces Hui out from the bottom side. It's actually Darshan that's there now, but Team Liquid will take it one way or the other. Tier 2's starting to drop.
Yeah, really been an impressive game for Team Liquid so far. If they hadn't given up that one Water Drake, it would actually be a perfect game to this point. Which is crazy against the defending champion CLG, who have been able, we mentioned, to lose slowly, but this one looks like it could track towards a fast loss if Team Liquid can close. Here's a fight.
Phoenix, a little too low, goes in for it anyway, pops the Emperor's Divide. Hui, though, does take him out. Smithy low, but not falling, and Hui gonna dive his way back in. Darshan leading a charge as well. Stixxay just needs to land these Mystic shots, but it's just the one kill. TL get a little greedy there.
Yeah, and it was over-eagerness as well from Phoenix. He saw a big play, but he was really low. He didn't have a Zhonya, so if he puts himself in harm's way like that, he's going to be able to fall. And that could have actually been a lot worse. COD doesn't necessarily have the ability to follow up super well, and Lorlo wasn't there either, so maybe Lorlo and Darshan
got him! Go! Straight in with a 4-man on Burrow, I think, and Xpithy's low. Darshan, though, healing up. Gonna keep moving through. Karma Shields keep them healthy. Now Lolo back in. Stixxay, you better shift away. Lolo's still hungry.
Yeah, without Azir, a lot of Team Liquid's team fight damage is missing. So, like, those two fights are probably a little bit scary for Team Liquid, because they have the 7,000 gold advantage and they're not able to fight clean. But they are going straight for Baron. CLG's going to try and stop it. That teleport is really far away, though.
Yeah, it's the brute force play from TL. Dardoch not too healthy, but they're going to try and take it down. Xpithy in trouble. Gets taken up by Lolo. That's a smite off the map. Darshan does not get the miracle steal, and he's going to go down on the back end as well.
Yeah, Zonius isn't completed yet, so he walks in, he gets Brahms done. He's just instantly deleted. Once again, Team Liquid needed to be decisive. It was a scary moment in the game, obviously, when they messed up the push in the mid lane a little bit, but they very decisively go. They're very clear about what needs to happen before this Baron. Mainly the fact that Xpithy would have a chance at 50-50. Dardoch making aggressive calls, and also the team is following up on him. So they say, as soon as you see Xpithy, just kill him. Phoenix gets poked, Lorlo flashes for it. Then they can take Baron very easily. Darshan's the only one who's been able to get around the corner. They very easily kill him as well, even though Matt had to flash away for safety. They secure the Baron with very minimal loss.
And almost a 10,000 gold lead up now for TL, with the Mountain Drake on the way in 30 seconds, complete control of the game. 25 minutes in, and they'll add to that by taking the blue buff and giving it over to Lolo. Stixxay's ulti gonna fly down, but we'll miss that buff by a significant margin. CLG once again backs firmly against the ropes, and this Baron Siege will be difficult to weather.
Yeah, I think so too. At the moment, like, who's gonna clear the wave? Very hard for casters to clear Baron-empowered minions, and Stixxay on Ezreal is not the most potent of wave clears, especially when you consider that Lorlo is going to be able to have the Baron-empowered, Glimpse of the Void-empowered split push, and with still no Zonias on Darshan, like, that's actually a dive threat.
And that's certainly shown willingness to dive. And Phoenix going to set up another turret here. Dragon just going to go casually over to TL. That Siege is getting even better for Lolo as he adds a Mountain Drake with that Siege capability.
Looking pretty good for TL right now. This is the type of growth that you would have wanted to see from TL after they had a good regular season with the integration of Dardoch and Matt and coming into their second split and probably being a little more calm. Like, this is a very decisive team who's winning all the lanes. This is the dream for Team Liquid, at least so far, 26 minutes in.
Yeah, Stixxay poked out. This tower's going to melt. There's actually an ulti out from Xpithy, going to try and keep them out, but no chance so far. That inhibitor's absolutely dead.
No defending here for CLG, not able to have the type of ranged wave clear or zoning that you would require. I mean, the Swain Vladimir combo isn't great at initiating, right? Like, that's why you need initiation help and why we're expecting something like Ashe. That wouldn't have mattered in this case, though, because with 12,000 gold down, you don't want to initiate regardless. These inhibitors are melting.
Yeah, this bottom inhib probably going to go down. Maybe CLG feel like they have to fight here. Lolo maybe going in, but Hui's just going to get blown up in the front line. Teemo breaks down. Darshan the next target. That's a double for Piglet. Now going to surf in and take an inhib for his trouble as well. And he wants more. Does he go for it, Smithy? TL looking very greedy. They might close it out now.
They killed the double AP like nothing. Those are the two guys who are supposed to be drain tanks, and you can see when that falls behind, it just completely falls apart. Nice block on the Ezreal ult from Matt there. They're going to hopefully wait for the minions if they want to close this game out. Dardoch makes the call to be a little bit safer about this. They were a little bit low. They know they have control of it. He might just ult back and try.
Oh, Phoenix goes in for Smithy. Woo. Can't make the big play with the ulti this time, but
Dardoch's bat. Lolo's coming back. They're going for the win.
Yeah, they're going to go for it now. Dardoch ulti's way back in. Aphromoo forced to flash out. Nexus turret number 2 does melt. The Nexus will fall, and Team Liquid, a convincing game number 1.
You could say that again. After losing all 4 of their games, which culminated in a 0-2 match record in week 1, this is a completely different team. Their off week must have been spectacular with getting Dardoch back in the lineup right here, because every single lane did well. They picked the Lucian, which other teams had dropped. They did great against Stixxay.